This marks the latest in a series of disappearances dating back to 1994, when a group of students ventured into the woods near Burkittsville, never to be seen again.
What's going on, everyone? Great Talon here, and today the prey is going to be my Blair Witch, no, not the movie, but the 2019 video game review. So, the Blair Witch name alone has been synonymous with cult classic video capture footage in the late 90s, in which the Blair Witch has pioneered an entire generation of film capture footage documentaries that actually spawned a million different clones after its release in 1999 and became an instant cult classic, such as the Paranormal Activity franchise, which actually has a trilogy or 5 or 6 films in the series, and, you know, like a documentary things that was based on supposedly true events, which actually it's bullshit. But anyway, we'll get to that another time. And also the film, the J.J. Abrams film in 2007 called Cloverfield. So these films were all derived from one film in particular, and that being, simply stated, the Blair Witch Project, which premiered in the summer of '99. And now, you know, it had a bunch of spin-offs, and, you know, they had a sequel, which was kind of bad, and also a reimagining, so to speak, in 2016 with a lackluster movie that kind of dabbled in the recreation, like I said, of the 1999 film, which did not hit at all on any cylinders. It failed to recapture the magic of what made the original so well developed, seeing as though the original felt like it was just found footage and some kids were making a documentary and got lost in the fucking woods, stumbled upon the ancient cult of the Blair Witch, and bada bing, bada boom, you know? Whereas the 2016 film, it just felt like it had many elements of Hollywood just fucking plastered in there. Now fast forward 3 years later, and an indie developer named Bloober Team actually said, you know what, we're gonna fucking make a Blair Witch game, and we're gonna make it damn fucking good as we can. These are the developers responsible for the Layers of Fear games, the Jump Scare City games. I've experienced the first game. It was just Jump Scare City, and rest assured, Blair Witch does not take on that mantra at all in any sense, really, and it's amazing. I'm proud of this team for not doing that, because I think jump scares are too cheap. They're very easily used, like Five Nights at Freddy's uses it. It's just fucking unnecessary. But anyway, so Bloober Team here takes the helm at creating a video game based on the Blair Witch film and takes place within the same world around the same time as the 1999 film. So how does it fare, you might be wondering? Well, amazing at times in some areas and quite terrifying in others. And I'm not just talking about the horror aspects. So let's see if the Blair Witch game is just as good as the original film that started a cinematic revolution of filmmaking for a time, and if it is indeed worthy of your time or not. Okay, so graphics, performance, and controls are up first. First up, I want to say I'm sorry for the lighting here, but it's just that dark in the game. Even when I turn the brightness up, it's just supposed to be dark. I mean, it's supposed to be in the fucking woods, so sorry, everyone. Visually speaking, though, I must say, at a certain times in dim-lit areas such as this, the game is at its best. When you're in the woods at dusk or in the depth of the dark hours of the night, just shining your little flashlight on objects really makes you feel like and look like you're really alone out there. And what it would look like if you're just fucking flashing a small amount of light against a rock, a doorway, or against trees and finding your path forward, or, you know, fucking going in circles. However, whenever you're in a well-lit area, the few that you are in the game, I honestly felt that it really wasn't really, like, amazing. I mean, like, the beginning of the game, you know, it takes place in like the late afternoon-ish kind of thing, where the sun is still out a little bit. That's when you may notice some textures appearing less robust and a little bland on the flat side at times. The character models, however, are really nicely portrayed, and some look as horrifyingly realistic as you would think. Even the dog looks pretty well rendered, especially when you go to interact with him and pet him and etc. and give him treats and stuff. The lackluster graphics at times might be caused by the game's overall performance, which, to say the least, is as janky as hell at times for the most part of the game. Frame rate feels like it's almost non-existent, with well below 30 frames per second and numerous times very choppy, and also the game is littered with bugs. Some bugs and glitches even require you to reload your last save if you encounter them. I had a friend who was trying to play the game and interact with a fuse box to get a fuse out to change it to light up an area, and the box was supposed to, she was supposed to interact with, would not come up a command prompt for her to interact or unscrew the fuse. So she had to reboot her last checkpoint, which, sad to say, took her back almost 10 minutes prior, and she lost a lot of progress. That's another issue I found with the game, seeing as though some of the checkpoints are not that close together as I would have liked them to be or expected them to be, especially with the game as bugged out as this one is here. Some checkpoints are a good 10 plus minutes in between each other, and that is a good chunk of time lost if you should happen to run into one of these glitches that should hinder your progress. Now, in regards to the controls, they do feel a bit stiff at first touch and first glance, but if you adjust the sensitivity in the settings and increase it a little bit like I did, like the pitch and the look and turn and all the yaw and stuff like that, whatever, it will make your life a lot easier, trust me, in terms of moving the camera around, as the game is in first-person perspective from start to finish. Other controls do feel a tad bit off too at first, seeing as though pulling up your command wheel for your dog doesn't, or your items doesn't feel as smooth as I would have liked them to be, and rotating the joystick to select a command prompt for your push just feels stiff and rugged and out of place for some reason. Other than that, movement and navigating your character around isn't too bad once you get used to it, and you have a sprint option, which is nice, as well as you should happen to need it to utilize and run away from like things, creatures of the night or whatever. There's also a zoom in control feature, which allows you to zero in on things from a distance, which can come in quite handy too at times also. The button mapping, though, I should mention, may also take some adjusting. For example, interacting with objects with right trigger for some reason, whereas in most other games, interacting with objects in first or the third person perspective is either X or Y, depending on your console of choice. Like one of the face buttons, at least, not one of the shoulder buttons or triggers. But like the great Grandmaster Yoda once said, you must unlearn what you have learned.
Only different in your mind. You must unlearn what you have learned.
Next up is gameplay and a bit about the story. Blair Witch is a first-person survival game with some action segments as well. Don't get me wrong, there are some action moments. Your character is equipped with a flashlight, walkie-talkie, a Nokia cell phone from the year 2000, fully equipped with green screen, lighting, and even text message and cell phone games. Yes, that's right, you can play Snake right from your phone in the palm of your left hand while using a flashlight to hoard away the elements of darkness and purge the evil monstrosities that happen across your path. Isn't technology amazing? You also can come across a camcorder a couple of chapters into the game, which can be used quite brilliantly, if I might add. What separates Blair Witch from other documentary-like games out there, like Outlast per se, is the tapes you find and watch in the Blair Witch game are utilized in the best way possible, in my opinion. There are two types of tapes you can find. Blue tapes, which are solely for story purposes only, just for you to watch them and observe them, go, wow, that's kind of fucked up, and then move along your merry way. Red tapes, however, that's where the real meat and potatoes like innovation that Blair Witch possesses delivers. You watch the red tapes and rewind or fast forward or pause them at certain sections in the video that already have transpired in the location which you are present in and that they were recorded in real time, and the character currently is located, and at the very moment in time you manipulate fucking time and space and reality even, rendering whatever is happening on the screen in the red tape you're watching, and it actually happens in the real world. So, for example, let's say there's a tree blocking your path forward, or a door that's locked you can't get into. By watching a red tape, for instance, you can possibly seek to find a part in the video where, say, before, like the moment before a tree got knocked down, or a door before a door was locked and closed tight, so you can gain access to new areas. It's fucking amazing. This game is so innovative, it's ridiculous. Another imaginative aspect of Blair Witch offers is using your trusty doggy companion as not only someone to keep you company in the lonely wilderness, but here's your eyes and ears and your nose as well. Treat good old Bullet the dog here as your map and means of progression for a good part of the game, as by bringing up your command wheel, you can have him seek and find objects of interest in the immediate area, which he will bring to you, whether it be photos or clues, and for story progression, and the clues that you can actually have him sniff and take you and lead you to wherever you need to go, to victory or certain demise. I mean, I love this feature, and I wish more games would utilize it in the future, as opposed to just having a fucking waypointer on a mini-map or something like that. Using a hound is quite creative and works very well on the Blair Witch, almost too well, despite a bit janky and buggy performances here and there at times. The game also has some of the most intricate puzzles I've ever experienced in years, and it's a delight to put your brain to the test in some of them. In regards to the story, it starts off a bit as a slow burn, and only after you're about halfway through the actual game is where the story really kicks into high gear and presses its foot all the way down on the throttle and doesn't let up until your mind is completely fucked and those end credits roll. You take on the role of a police officer named Ellis, who is searching the local woods for his brother's son, Peter, who went missing and vanished a few days to a week prior. So it's up to Uncle Ellis here to join the search party with his boss, the sheriff, and other locals who remain separated in the game at all times and commune only by means of walkie-talkie, which adds to the atmospheric like depth and horror Blair Witch has present at almost all times. Along the way, you'll encounter some very dark and mysterious entities that really fuck with your psyche and mental status, as Ellis will slip in and out of states of anxiety, withdrawal, and consciousness from the dark forces that, and I won't say anymore with the risk of ruining anything for you, but it's one heck of a wild ride. Just know that, folks, in the end. And just know there are multiple endings out there in the game, and just treat your dog bullet nice or suffer the consequences. You've been warned.
Creepy. Bullet, where are you?
Elijah 5, come in. Elijah.
This is... No, you're not real. Come on, be a man.
Ellis, you got my message. You, wanted to see me, sir? Better yet, I want to introduce you to someone. Bullet, meet your new partner. He's been through a lot, just like you.
What? Sir, I can't.
Oh, you got something else going on right now? Just take the damn dog, Ellis.
Sound is immensely important in any type of horror game, in my opinion. More so in a survival psychological horror game like the Blair Witch ensues in here, and it is, for lack of a better word, perfect in every single sense of the word. The audio is binary, so meaning that it is ideal to play with the entire game with a pair of headphones to take in all the sounds transpiring individually and uniquely on screen. From the sounds of birds and insects chirping in the woods to the sounds of twigs and branches snapping and cracking beneath your heel, Blair Witch checks all the boxes thoroughly with providing the most intimate and intricate sound effects humanly possible, so you truly get the feeling you're alone in the woods at night with only your dog to guide you. And even the dog you'll hear in the background at times rolling around in the leaves, rustling, or licking his chops, it's all very distinct and deliberate, which I love. One of the other things I love about this game. It's very important to wear headphones, I feel, because there are moments in the game, several times, where your dog will bark and to alert you about danger, depending on where he's barking, which direction it's coming at, left side, right side, or front and center. Helps you tremendously wearing the headphones in the process. The eerie violin-like music I heard at times too only adds to the tense and thrilling and cringing-like sections of the game, where you feel like you're about to implode from the stress and anxiety all at once. And the voice acting is surprisingly well performed, and the actors sound like they're really giving it their all here, especially any of the deranged you run into along your journey. I almost wish I could consider this a spin-off to the 1999 Blair Witch film, because it just feels so well made, narratively wise and audio wise. Okay, so now to wrap this up here, replay value, I'm going to go with high, folks. Even though the Blair Witch is a bit on the short side and it can be toppled within about 7 hours or so, there's about 3 endings in the game with numerous collectibles to find as well as achievements to unlock and come back for, and one hell of a compelling story that will make the time you spend with the game more than worthwhile, albeit some wonky performance issues and glitches and bugs and so on and so forth. I believe I received what they would consider the mediocre or lukewarm, bittersweet ending to the game. So there's 2 other endings out there to obtain. I believe there's a bad ending and a worse ending, because let's face it, folks, in the Blair Witch verse, nobody ever really wins. You just do a little better each time.
You don't win. You just do a little better each time.
For the overall score, is it worth your time? So here is where we get to the hard part for me. Narratively, auditory, and innovatively speaking, Blair Witch is a damn 9.5 out of 10 for me, almost perfect. However, The performance issues, glitches, and bugs just cannot be overlooked, as it broke the damn game for some people I know out there. And since there are currently no patches in place or in the works at the time, it operates like a 6.5 out of 10 gameplay-wise. So in the end, I'm going to have to be forced to give the Blair Witch a generous and lenient, I feel, on my side, an honest-to-goodness 8 out of 10. I think that's more than fair because the story is just so fucking good. It's just so damn good and well-sounding with ingenuity up the ass cheeks that it must be played and experienced by any fan of horror films, documentaries, or even really fucked up psychological distortion out there, if you're fans of that. If you can overlook its shortcomings like glitches and jankiness, Blair Witch shall indeed not disappoint you at the end of the cold, long, and dark journey through a night in the wilderness. So with that being said, that's my review of the Blair Witch. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for stopping by.